Well, if any team ever needed a bye, it was us. So that was the best news of this past weekend, was not having to play on Saturday, because of just we had that 6-week, almost flat out 6-week stretch during a team highly dependent on freshmen, dealing with everything, the lead up to recognition, the GRs, and then the injuries that all occurred during that 6-week stretch. And we lost 2 part-time starters and 1 full-time starter. And so we were beat up. And so it was just really nice to finally just not have to get ready for a game. And hopefully it'll make a difference for us. I mean, the biggest difference we hope is that we'll have Riley Snyder by Wednesday, but still not for sure, but we're hoping that's the case.
When will you find out about her?
Well, we'll see how she does this afternoon in practice. I think that's going to be the key thing, is just seeing how she does in practice this afternoon.
What are you looking for that maybe gives you the confidence that she's ready to go?
I think that one of the hard things for Riley, it's a sprained ankle. Sprained ankles are part of basketball, but she'd never done it before. And sometimes when it's your first time to sprain your ankle, it's when it's the worst. And so I think it's just feeling confident and not favoring it. And the only thing you ever worry about with bringing somebody back too soon is you don't want to expose them to a different type of injury or another injury. And so I think if she's able to be out there and being herself, then that's all. One thing about sprained ankles, there's not a whole lot you can do for them, and once you have them, they just sort of, kind of linger, and so she just has to get used to it, I think, more than anything.
How do you, when you look back at the Colorado State loss and the Wyoming loss, how do you look back on those? Is Wyoming one you just kind of toss with a 20-point loss?
The Wyoming game was just it's another tough one. That was the end of just that stretch of being on the road so much, and they're good, and they're really good. They've beaten a lot of people by a lot of points on their home court, and they're especially good at home. And I wouldn't say we tossed it. Boise State, that one we tossed. that one we tossed. I don't think we felt that way about Wyoming. I think that we fought and got ourselves back into it. It was a 10-point game in the third quarter, and we just didn't have enough firepower to get over the hump. We did a good, decent job on them defensively, and they're just good, and they don't miss an open look on their home court. I think the big difference for them is this number one who was sorry, I can't pronounce her name, but she wasn't on the team a year ago, and she's really good. So she had 10 assists against us, and they probably passed the ball better. They passed the ball better than any team in the conference. And so she just really did a great job against us, and we'd have to be ready for her next time, that's for sure. But they're tough on their home court, and with 20 points, that was not a big shocker considering everything else we were dealing with, being at the end of that big travel stretch and not having Riley, and still trying to adjust to not having Cassidy, and my biggest concern with Vegas coming up is taking the hit in the size category with Cassidy being out, because Vegas is big, and Powell and Strothers, they're two post kids, and then they have another kid, 24, that comes in off the bench, they're big, they're strong, they're aggressive. Powell is having an excellent year, very skilled player for somebody that size, and she's just doing a great job for them. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that size while being, we were undersized before we lost Cassidy, and so we're just going to have to figure out a way.
Team rebounding, huh?
And it's going to be rebounding. So rebounding's going to be the challenge, and stopping those guys in the post and around the basket.
So do you just tell your team, go out there, don't overthink it, and just maybe scrap? Is that?
Well, that's how we played them the first time, and it was actually a fun competitive game because we were really getting after it, and it was, you know, they kind of can stir you up a little bit. They have a way of doing that, and so we were definitely into it, and we were scrapping and clawing with them, and it was enough for us to hang in there, but it wasn't enough for us to beat them. We have to do more than just scrap and claw. We're going to have to execute. We're going to have to execute a lot better offensively than we did the first time. We're going to have to put more points on the board. We're going to have to keep them off the boards, stop their transition. You know, they're one of the more experienced teams in the conference, and I think that part of what we're really trying to sell to our young team is, let's, you know, just learn as much as you can this year, figure these teams out a little bit, understand what they are all about, because some of them are going to take some big hits next year, and we'll have a chance to make a move. And Vegas is going to lose some really key kids next year, and Wyoming gets wiped out, and they lose a lot of really good players, and Fresno State's going to lose some key kids. A lot of these teams are going to lose some key kids. New Mexico's going to lose some key kids. So if we can just learn as much as we can, try to figure out as much as we can this year, however many W's that translates to, great. But try to just really understand this conference so that we have a chance to make a move next year. That's really the message we're selling.
So part of that message is remember the lumps you take. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And we get to play Boise State at home. We don't get to play New Mexico at home. But Boise State, Wyoming, and New Mexico are the ones who've really, laid it on us. And so understand those are the guys at the top in Fresno. We will play them at home, but those are the people you got to figure out what you got to do to get there, to beat them.
And lastly for you, how do you handle the academic load this week, and how have you learned to navigate that after being here a few years now? Or have you?
I don't. You can only try to survive it. There's just not a whole lot you can do to change it. It is what it is. We have tried to change our game day schedule on a weekday, and I think it's helpful. They like it more. We're just trying to give them a chance to get more rest without it making them sluggish, and you don't want them falling asleep right before the game, that sort of thing. So we've changed that schedule around a little bit in hopes of having an impact on their ability to perform on a day when they still have to get up at 6:30 in the morning and still have to take GRs or whatever they have to do that day, and then perform at 7 o'clock that night.